All right, so I was kicked off because of the music I was playing in the background, so I got to start over. All right, copyright infringement and all, so I turned the music back off. All right, so just to recap, this is, we're going to make butter flour cookies with a strawberry filling center. In the mixer, I have 2 sticks of butter at room temperature. They are nice and soft. You want your butter to be soft so it's easy to mix up. And then I'm gonna put it on my mixer. So yes, 2 sticks of butter. I have in here already measured. We have 1 3/4 cup of flour, a 1/2 cup of cornstarch, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. All right. And this recipe also includes 1 egg and a teaspoon of vanilla extract, pure vanilla extract. Best flavor, better than imitation. I know it's really expensive right now, and that's because a few years back there was a wildfire in Madagascar that destroyed a lot of the vanilla crop, and since then it hasn't really recovered. So the price of vanilla seriously skyrocketed. But if you can get pure vanilla, it's best to get pure vanilla. All right, and the last ingredient is 1 cup of sugar. All right, so I'm gonna put my paddle attachment on my mixer, and feel free to put in comments, and when I can, I will check them and respond back to you guys. So the butter is in here nice and soft. I am going to add the sugar. Oh, it would be nice if I plugged in the mixer first, right? Yes, mixer wasn't plugged in. Okay, now we cook it. There we go. So what I'm using to make these cookies is called the creaming method. And most baking recipes start with the creaming method. The creaming method, you start with your fat, which is your butter, you add your sugar, you add your eggs, and then you add your dry ingredients. So right now we just have the sugar and the butter, and I mix it around in the mixer. And then what you're gonna do is between each mix, you're gonna use what's called this rubber spatula, and you're gonna scrape down the sides, and you wanna scrape the bottom of the mixer as well. Even if you're using a hand mixer with a regular bowl, you wanna do the same thing, because that way you make sure everything that you're mixing gets incorporated into the recipe, and you don't want stuff stuck on the bottom or stuff on the side that don't get mixed up into your ingredients. So that's why I'm scraping everything down to make sure it's nice and good and together before I add my eggs and my vanilla. And you can always pool your liquids together most of the times, unless it's a recipe that calls for you to alternate with some things. But I always put the eggs and the vanilla together. So I'm going to put the eggs and vanilla in now. All right. And now we're going to mix this up. Start off slow always, and then you can increase the speed as it mixes. Hi, Miss Ivory. Christy, you're welcome to come over anytime because I got to get rid of these cookies, girl. Hidege, are you here? I'm making these cookies just for you because I know they're your favorite. So traditionally, you wouldn't whip these cookies for this long. But the reason why I'm whipping so much air into the butter and the eggs and the sugar is because this recipe, you can refrigerate the dough and roll it out. But because I'm making decorative cookies and I'm gonna have them shaped like flowers, I need it to be the dough to be as soft and light as possible because I'm gonna be squeezing it through a piping bag. So because of that, I needed to whip it a little bit more. But if you're making hard cookies that you want to roll out, maybe do with the kids and use cookie cutters and cut out, then you wouldn't whip it for as long as I did it just now. You would just beat it until it looks like it got mixed together and it's combined, and then you would just start adding your flour. But I need this dough to be super light and super soft. All right, so that's why I'm mixing it up a little bit more. So then again, I'm gonna go with my scraper and my rubber spatula, and I'm gonna scrape down the sides. Okay. And let me tell you, my students love these cookies. My coworkers on here, Ivory, and she loves these cookies. She be like, Miller, when are you gonna make them butter cookies again? When are you gonna make those butter cookies again? And I'm like, Ivory, I don't know. I'll let you know. But she really likes these cookies. So yeah. And my goddaughter always makes them with me during Christmas time. And she pretty much be like, all right, just put them in a separate container for my mom because I just want my chocolate chip. And then, she makes sure her mom gets her cookies. So that's it. All right, so now that all of my fats are mixed together, the last thing for me to put in is my dry ingredients. And again, we have in here flour, cornstarch, salt, and that's it. So I'm gonna add the dough a little bit at a time, probably like a third at a time. So I'll do 3 mixings of it to make sure that it's really incorporated, and you don't want the dough to be too stiff, so you're gonna add it a little bit at a time. Add it slow first, or else you will end up with flour everywhere. And I got on black, that's not gonna look good. Oh, Chrissy, tell her I said hi back. Yes, it will be posted tomorrow because right now it's recording. So I'll probably edit it and take some stuff out. Kissy, I don't know what kind of diet you on. All right, so let me do the next set. So I'm just going to be repeating the process. All right, I'm going to put in some more flour. All right. And then I just have one more session to do, and then the dough will be ready. And then I'll show you how I make the magic and make them look like little flowers. And if you're here and you haven't commented yet, comment for me. Oh, Kissy, you want me to mail them? We'll work something out. I'm overdue for a drive up, so we'll work something out. Now, if any of my students are on here, they're probably saying, Miss Miller, why don't you have on a hairnet? Because when I teach them how to cook in school, they got to wear hairnets. But this is for the YouTube. Miss Miller has to look cute, so you know. But anyway, you can't be on here looking crazy. Now, we're going to add the last of the flour. right? And I noticed that some of the sides still has some things in it, some butter and stuff up top. So I just want to make sure that I go through it one more time. Because like I said, everything needs to be very nicely incorporated. So I want to make sure that I don't miss nothing at all. So let me make sure I put everything. Get the bottom. You want to make sure you scrape down under the bottom. And you want to make sure you clean off the paddle. Because everything that's stuck in there, everything needs to get into your cookie dough. You want everything in there. So you're going to make sure that you go all the way around and get up everything. All right. All right. So now I'm going to have this mixing for a little while. Can you all hear me good over the mixer? Can somebody respond? Can you hear me good over the mixer? Miss Ivory, Kizzy, you see where you start? No, everybody wants cookies mailed to them. All right. So this is my pastry bag. And with my pastry bag, I have a tip. This is an Untitled number 826 tip that I'm using to make the cookies, in case you're wondering. This bag is about 16 inches, but you can use like a 14-inch bag. It is a canvas bag, but the inside is lined with plastic, so it's easy to wash things out if you use it. All right, so just one more time, this is a piping bag that I'm using, or a pastry bag. The tip that I'm using is an Atico 826 star tip. All right, that's the size, 826 is the size, and this is a star tip, and I put it inside. This is a vinyl bag with a plastic interior coating. So I'm just gonna check my dough to make sure it's good for me, and it looks good. So now the other thing is, how do we do the strawberry filling? Listen, you use whatever you have. Sometimes I use blueberries, sometimes I use pineapple, sometimes I use apricot. If you want different colors, you can use, so I use preserves. I use different preserves to create the filling. And if you can't do preserves, you can use jam. So today I'm using Smucker's strawberry fruit spread because we're under quarantine and I am determined to use everything I have in my cabinet. All right, so what I do is, so I'm gonna put some of the dough inside of the bag. Now, if for some reason it's really hard for me to pipe out, then I know that, guess what? You needed to beat the dough a little bit more, right? So then I'm just gonna squeeze it down. Now, I have my cookie sheet here, already prepared, lined with a sheet of parchment paper. All right, so how do I do this? We're gonna work it out. I'm gonna show you. So the strawberry, where did I put it? The strawberry jam. So this is a plastic pastry bag. I bought these off of Amazon. So this is a plastic one. And I put some of the strawberry fruit spread in here already, right? And this one is disposable, so I'm just gonna toss it out when I'm finished. And then I'm going to cut a tiny hole at the tip because this is how you're gonna fill the middle with your strawberry. So I'm just gonna pre-cut it ahead of time. And I'm just gonna put it into this container so it doesn't spill out. So when you're piping with your pastry bag, you wanna hold the end. And then after you hold the end, you're gonna twist it because you don't want any air to escape from the bag. If it's air coming out, the stuff is not gonna squeeze out. So as you can see, it's coming out the tip a little bit. So I'm gonna squeeze it. Now, I'm gonna put the computer down a little bit more so you can see my handwork. Great. And then now I'm gonna pipe it right on here so you guys can see. See? And then I let it go. So I squeeze with my pressure and then I let it go. I squeeze and then I let it go, just like that. And then I'll just do a couple more. So here's the fun part that you can do with your kids. After you pipe out all of your little flowers, you are going to use your finger and put a dent in the middle. All right, so now that's done. So the oven is set to 375 degrees. So I'm just gonna put my thumb and make a dent in the middle. As we know with our children, make sure they wash their hands first, you know, clean hands and all that good stuff. And we're just gonna put that dent, that well in the middle because we wanna use that to fill it up with our strawberry filling. All right. And then, so just in case, so they look like this right now. All right. So now I'm gonna put the filling in the middle. Same thing with this plastic bag. I gotta make sure that I squeeze the end of where all my filling is because I don't want any air. What has to be nice and tight. And then now I'm going to squeeze inside of the little wells that I made, the strawberry filling. And you're just gonna fill it up. All right, I'm going to show you guys a little bit more. So it's not hard. Oops. All right. So let's recap. So in our recipe, we had 1 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour. We had a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and a 1/2 cup of cornstarch measured and put in a container together. Then you want to mix it all up so everything is evenly combined. Then you have 2 sticks of butter, unsalted. Now that's very important. I always bake with unsalted butter because with unsalted butter, you have control over the salt content that you put into your recipes. Okay, so always sweet unsalted butter, and you add your salt that you want. There was 1 egg, 1 large egg, right? And 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. Okay. And we first started off with beating the butter and the sugar together until it was light and fluffy. Then scrape down the sides of the bowl, very important. And then we added the vanilla and the egg, scrape down the side of the bowl. And then we added the dry ingredients a little bit at a time until it was all well combined. Okay, and I beat this a little bit longer because I want it to be easy to squeeze out. But what you could do, what I will do with the rest of this dough, wrap it up in plastic wrap nice and tight, put it in a freezer bag and put it in the freezer. Now, if I want to roll it out and cut and make cute little, I don't know, people or houses or cookies for the kids to decorate, I would keep it in the fridge for about 2 hours so it can set, and then you would roll it out and then cut those cookies out. If I'm going to make butter cookies, I typically will not refrigerate it because it doesn't have the same texture for me wanting to squeeze it out if I refrigerate it and take it out. So if I'm making these, I need to make them the day that I whip this batter because that's when it's at its lightest and fluffiest for me to squeeze it out. These are not soft cookies. These cookies are, but they're not hard. They're just tender, have a tender crisp to them. And when you bake them, you're not baking them for them to get a real dark color. They have a really pale, light brown color to them. Okay, so oven is almost ready. We're going to put them in the oven. We're going to bake them for 10 to 12 minutes until they get the color that we desire. And then you take them out. You want to have your cooling rack ready. This is a cooling rack. So this is what I will put the cookie sheet on after it comes out of the oven. And so that there's air circulating underneath and air circulating on top. And that's the purpose of the cooling rack, to help things that you bake cool faster. All right. Now, sometimes I have issues with my students because I say, go get me the cookie sheet, and they don't know what that is. This is a cookie sheet for anyone that doesn't know. This is a cookie sheet, all right? And sometimes they're just flat. They don't have a lip, but this is a cookie sheet. Parchment paper is sold at any store, pretty much any store that you can buy. These I ordered off Amazon because they're perfectly cut. And all I gotta do is take them out and put it right on my sheet. So it makes life a lot easier for me. All right. Are you guys saying anything to me? Hey, Flojo, how you doing? Thanks for joining. I know you love cookies. You guys have any questions for me? I am going to make chocolate chip, but not tonight. I am going to make chocolate chip probably tomorrow, and I'll record it, and I will post it up. And I will not be mailing any cookies for any of you guys who asked about mailing cookies. That is way too much. Sorry. No mailing. But if you want to hop on a ride over to Long Island, I got you. I got you. But no male cookies. Sorry. So I'm going to put these cookies on the middle rack in my oven, and then I'm going to set my timer. I'm going to set my timer for 10 minutes, and then I'll check it at 10 minutes and see if it's completely done. So I told you guys that I'm actually going to make chocolate chip cookies, but I'm not going to make them with you guys because that would be like an extremely long video or long stream. And I know that it's Friday night, you guys got hot dates to go to. I don't know if anybody going to any parties or anything tonight, quarantine parties or whatever. So, you know, I don't want to stop up your show. You feel me? So, but what I will show you how to do for those who may not know how to do it, I'm going to show you how to measure. So if you are measuring dry ingredients, right? So I'm going to measure from my chocolate chip cookie recipe. And if you want, you can write this down. So I prefer to use bread flour for my chocolate chip cookies. However, quarantine and all, I've been doing a lot of baking, y'all. And I have baked bread a lot, just a lot. So I don't have any more bread flour. So I'm going to use all-purpose. So when you fill up your measuring cup, you want to use the flat, straight side of a knife, or if you have a leveler, and you're going to go straight across, just like this. So let me show you how the knife is, straight across. You don't want to have it down because then you might level it wrong. Straight across, just like this, in one sweet swoop, so that you have exactly 1 cup of flour. With baking, measurements pretty much need to be exact. Okay, so I'm putting my 1 cup of flour in here. So for my cookie dough recipe, you're going to use 2 1/4 cups of flour. Now I'm using all-purpose today because this is what I have. But the reason why I prefer bread flour is it gives you a thicker cookie. You know, bread flour is used for bread. Bread is more dense. So bread flour actually gives you a thicker, chewier cookie. And that's why I use bread flour. But if you don't care too much about it being thick and chewy, that's fine. You don't have to use bread flour, but it'll be thick, chewy, and soft. And these will still be soft cookies. They just won't have that extra thickness to them because I'm not using my bread flour. But they'll still be really, really divine. So that's my 2. This is my 1/4. Now, here's the other trick to my cookies. I only use brown sugar in my chocolate chip cookies. No white sugar. Brown sugar again. It's the not the raw brown sugar, but the packed tight brown sugar. Like the Domino brand that comes in a box or the bag, that plastic bag. You want to use that. All right. So real nice thick sugar, again, adds to the chewiness, and the brown sugar definitely adds to the flavor. You want to have that flavor. So I'm going to put the so it's 2 1/4 cups of flour. I'm going to use a teaspoon of baking soda and a teaspoon of salt. All right. Put away in my little lazy Susan down here. All right. Here is the other secret to my chocolate chip cookies. Let me get it for you. All right. So this is the brown sugar I was talking about, or you can buy the Target brand. It does not have to be Domino's. I buy whatever is on sale. Okay, sale, all about the sale. So dark brown sugar, right? Not the light one. And semi-sweet chocolate chips. Love semi-sweet chocolate chips. Now, You can use milk chocolate chips if you like milk chocolate. I'm a dark chocolate girl, so I get the semi-sweet chocolate chips. So you're gonna get semi-sweet chocolate chips. You're gonna use 12 ounces of the semi-sweet chocolate chips, all right? And then here's where the magic happens. All right, get ready. You're about to be blown away. I use Heath chips. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever had a Heath bar, but it's milk chocolate. People are calling me. All right, so it's milk chocolate and toffee together. So that's what a Heath bar is. So I use half of this pack, okay, of the Heath bar, of the Heath chips. So it's made by Hershey. Yeah, so it's Heath chips. They sell it at the supermarket. They also sell just the toffee chips too, which is pretty cool. So I'll buy either or. But this one, now the cookie has a couple levels, because not only do you have the semi-sweet chocolate chips, you also have a mixture of the semi-sweet and the milk chocolate, and you have toffee. And I don't know if any of you have had toffee, but toffee is just delicious. It's like buttery, you know, just buttery sweet. That's what it tastes like. Sweet, buttery goodness just melting in your mouth, right? So you got this in the cookie. That's going to add to the gooey and the chewiness. It's just going to be amazing, right? And then I add a cup of chopped pecans. Okay, now you can use pecans or you can use walnuts. But right now, I don't know. It's this thing with me and pecans. We just living really good together, right? So, and I think, you know, when you think of butter pecan, and then you use the butter pecan and the toffee, and it's buttery, and it's just a great combination. So I'm giving y'all my secrets now. My secrets. The kids be hounding me in the hallway, acting like cookie addicts. My coworkers will attest to this. Christy, you would attest to this. Ivory, you would attest to this. They hound me for these cookies. Like, if I want students to do well in my class, or if I have a kid, he could be the worst kid in the school. I'd be like, yo, if you do this, I'll bring you some cookies tomorrow. Yo, word, miss? All right, I got you. Say less. Mad hype for no reason, right? So, but that's how good these cookies are. And I'm not just saying it to say it. They really are addicted to my cookies. That's why I have to do a video. But they probably will still tell me that I gotta make it. But my chocolate chip cookies are like, they're like that, okay? So I usually give it to kids for their birthdays and stuff like that. You know, it makes them happy. So so like I said, you're gonna use about a half a pack of this, a cup of the chopped pecans, and you can chop them as big or as little as you want to. It's totally up to you. Sometimes I chop them real fine in my Ninja food processor, and you can't even tell that I actually that they actually have nuts in it. You'll taste the flavor, but you won't see big chunks. And sometimes I like it like that. And then sometimes I might want to see or feel that crunch when I bite into the cookie. So then I'll chop them a little bit rougher, and I'll chop them by hand. Okay. So, and if you're going to, let me see if you're going to chop it by hand, you want to use a serrated edge knife, right? Because that's going to help you to chop and define the pieces. All right. So, and that's what I put in my chocolate chip cookie. And I bake it for 10 minutes and it comes out nice. Then you got to put it on the cooling rack. Let it cool. Don't be greedy. All right. Let it cool. You bake it at 375, right? And you put it in you put it on the cooling rack, you let it cool, and then it's just good. You want to keep it in a sealed container if it lasts that long. But that's how it goes. And everybody usually loves it. So that's a chocolate chip cookie. That's a secret recipe. Oh, and a teaspoon of vanilla. Forgot to tell you that part. Pure vanilla extract, 1 teaspoon. Pure vanilla extract. Oh, so the person who was trying to call me while I was doing my live just logged on. Hey, girl. Yes, thicker waistline, but if you don't eat in moderation, remember, You can eat whatever you want in moderation. It's when we become gluttonous and excessive that it becomes detrimental to the waistline. So you have to have, what is it called? Reserve, or, willpower, self-control, so that, that doesn't happen. So we have a few seconds left. I am going to check when my watch goes off, I'm going to check on the cookie and see what it looks like and if it's ready or not to take out. They're ready, guys. So I'm going to take them out. So safety first. I have my silicone oven mitts. Best investment I ever made. I'm gonna tell you why. Because I had like the cloth ones and they would always burn or stuff would spill on them. So with these silicone ones, you could just wash them right off and it's like really heat resistant. So I'm going to show you what these delicious cookies look like fresh out the oven. I am going to put them on the cooling rack, but I want you guys to see them so that you can see the color and everything. But they look like delicious little pinwheels. Delicious little flowers, right? And you see them right here. And with the filling has melted out, so it looks like a little flower. And if you want to get real fancy, you can put them on like a plate and then draw a fake stem on them with some leaves and make like, a little bouquet or something, if you want to. So I'm going to put these on the cooling rack and they're going to cool. And then you can eat them. And that is all, folks. Thank you for joining me today, seeing how I make my butterflower cookies with strawberry filling. I hope you enjoyed and learned something. And when I post this video, I'll post the recipe underneath so that you guys can, if you didn't write it down, you will see it right there so that you can make your cookies. Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend and a good night.